Message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
My enemies' walls are bound to crumble, and to the floor their spears will fall. I've been made and sealed with love, but time to battle, I'll fight them all. I felt the whips and remember chains, but my sword has been forged by my father's flames. Fight your fears and heal your pain, and victory will be in your name. I used to be weak, but I'm not weak no more. I found the strength of my ancestors deep down in my African core. I used to be frightened, I'm not afraid no more. The Father bless me with the heart of a lion and a warrior soul. So no weapon that form against us shall not prevail. No man that rise against us, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, I will conquer, yes I will conquer. Come on, let's conquer. No, I will conquer. Rise up and conquer. Conquer them. Tell them no retreat, no surrender. I shall fight till the end of years. I was born as a Makai warrior, and the Almighty God my prayer. Fire upon all Satan carrier. Father loose all shackles and chains. This morning first thing as I wake up, King David turns Sam to the brain. Don't let your courage go down, keep it up. And if your heart rip up and stitch it up, don't let your faith them fall, pick it up. When my cup was empty, God fill it up. Don't take the devil contract, rip it up. And if your bad mind people commit it up, pass me the Congo jam and let me beat it up. God on my side, me no give it so. No weapon that form against us shall not prevail. And no man that rise against us, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, no I will conquer, yes I will conquer, conquer this. Come on, let's conquer, no I will conquer, rise up and conquer, conquer this. Thank you, Father. I want to say thank you, Lord. You're everything, Father. Thank you. Father, you alone shall guide me. No man shall lead my path. In the wind I hear your quiet whispers, and you heal my broken heart. Even some of my friends turned enemies, and they pray for right to fail. And remember, you give us your only begotten son, but we gave him the wound of place. Send down your warriors with the hello. They carry down to the end of days. No matter how the devil try to trick me, unto you my soul I will give. Father, I know this time is coming. I can see the high tide raise. Without you there is no other. Could it be that we live face it? One and one against us shall not prevail. No man that rise against us, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, no, I will conquer, yes I will conquer. Come on, let's conquer. No, I will conquer. Rise up and conquer. Conquer them. I am a champion. I am a warrior. So who are you to tell me that I cannot make? Who are you to tell me that I am not the greatest thing that God ever created?
Good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martin. You're listening to Hard Talk.
Grenada. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on 97.5 City Sound FM, 89.5 CRFM, 91.9 and 91.5 Real FM Radio, 92.9 Sister Ral Radio broadcasting from Hillsborough, Carriacou, and of course 94.9 We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn, in New York. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on the live videos, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you're tuning in from. Good morning to you. It is a pleasure being here with you this morning. It is a beautiful, beautiful Thursday morning in the Spice Isle of Grenada. And with me, of course, in studio, I have Mr. Roland Fuller, my co-host. I ain't saying none other this morning because I find I'm taking too much licks of that. Good morning, Mr. Fuller.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Duncan. Good morning to you. I hope your night and your day yesterday was very pleasant. I was not here yesterday. It's good to see you again. It's good to be in your company as we are about to deal with another session today, another moment when we can bring information to people. Good morning to you out there, the listening public. I really do hope that yesterday was a fantastic day, that your night was well rested, that you feel rejuvenated and ready for a Thursday where we can take a ride, you know. Whatever means you're listening by, we invite you to be part of the conversation, to be part of what we're doing, part of what we're saying. And you can do that by calling in to ask a question, to make a comment, to give a suggestion, or you can send us a message via WhatsApp or on the live, whichever one you are taking the program on. But Ms. Duncan, I crave your indulgence this morning for just a couple minutes before you outline exactly what we'll be discussing today and get into it. I just wish to make an appeal to a sort of statement. You know, I've received and been receiving some information that is a little troubling to me in particular. Okay. And if you would allow me the opportunity, please, it's your show, you're the host, and I'm asking for that in a respectable manner to just say to us generally as Grenadians. Many moons ago, our Prime Minister spoke about reconciliation and did make an appeal to us as a nation, to Grenadians, that the time has come for us to reconcile our differences and start to unite and, you know, put the past behind us so that we can build and move forward as a nation with one purpose, one aim, one objective, one goal, you know, as our national anthem would say in some parts of it. And when the Prime Minister made that clarion call, I stand to be corrected, but I don't think that he was referring to any specific sector of the society. There may have been, in my opinion at the time, some people in society that call may have appealed greater to, or may have had greater emphasis. But I do believe that in his wisdom as the leader of the country, he meant for us all to look inwardly, to look outwardly, to look at our neighbor, to look within our families, see where we had differences, and let's reconcile those differences. Let us come together. Let us be more appreciative and supportive of each other. And let us do the things that will make Grenada as our homeland, a better place. Now, some people heed the call, and I believe to a large extent has transformed themselves, has done much better, have come to the realization that what the Prime Minister has called for or had called for then was important and still is up to today. And I commend all of those who listened to the cry and who adhered to it. Yet there are some of us who still have not answered that call. We have not been touched by the words. Maybe we need a little more nurturing. Maybe our hearts are so hardened that one call, two or three may not be sufficient, but others may need to come on board. As one caller or someone who sent a comment said some time ago, to us on the program, that the time is now for all our leaders, irrespective of what dimension they lead in, whether they're political leaders, church leaders, civil society leaders, NGO leaders, to come together, because the country needs all of us and need our collective leadership at this time to get through such a tough time. So I commend those who did, and I encourage those who have not to get on board and start doing it. But I want to speak now specific to those of us who consider ourselves to be members, followers, and supporters of the new National Party. When the Prime Minister called for reconciliation, I don't think, and as I said before, I want to say again, I stand to be corrected, I don't think he meant reconcile with people who were not supporters of the NNP, or the reconciliation was for people who did not support the NNP. As I've said before, I think it was for all Grenadians. But in particular to us who are in the leadership of this country, we needed to take front and center role in the reconciliation process. But for many of us, because we have been blessed with certain gifts or endowed in certain ways more than others, we seem to believe that this is an authority given to us to belittle and to strip other people down. And I want to say to us, and I'm speaking now specifically, yes, to all of Grenada, but for those who are members and supporters of the new National Party, those who wear the green T-shirts and wave the big flags, those who sing the party song, "Oh, you can count on me working for my party, faithful I will be, and that I will fight with all my might," working for the NNP. That also means working with each other, working with people who are of the same belief and opinion like you, whether you like them or are friendly with them or not. And especially in situations where these people don't necessarily agree with your point of view or are not prepared to do things exactly the way you say it must be done. All the more reason for you to be more tolerant and acceptable of them. Please, let us understand that we were not all born with the same talents. Some people acquire things over time. Some people was born with certain innate gifts. Some people are good at what they do and get it right the very first time they attempt it. Others have several moments of trial and error before they hit perfection. And in particular, those of us who are radio personalities and hosts of specific programs, please accept the fact that you have a particular style, how you would like to do and run your program. And maybe in your mind, and probably you have been told that what you're doing is top of the line, is better than the rest, and so be it. Some people would always be better in some things than others. I oftentimes use the example of Brian Lara as a cricketer, Sachin Tendulkar out of India as a cricketer. These were two batsmen, Viv Richards of yesterday, that will go into a wicket and destroy any quality bowling, as though these people were bowling nothing at all. Like his Mira was bowling. You know, I'm a bowler, but, bowler and bowler, right? And then you would have like a Shanda Paul, who is an excellent cricketer, but would have to go in the wicket and spend a much longer time pushing and prodding and so before he can control the bowling and make runs. And Lara will just go and flash and hit a couple of sixes and fours of quality and style and stature that you have never seen. Yes? Because they have a special gift for what they do. What he is doing or what he could have done, a Roland bowler can't go in the wicket and do it, but I may have my area of strength. And so we have to appreciate that people's strengths vary. And we respect and appreciate people for what they can do. And we help them and harness them and encourage them to try to learn and to do better the things that they don't have a special gift in. So simply because somebody doesn't follow exactly in your footsteps or does not accept your way of doing something, doesn't mean that you have the right to ostracize that individual and to go as far as to push and beg to see the removal and dismissal from a position that they are holding. Your skill and talent does not give you that right.
Yeah.
We have to respect the fact that all of us must coexist, not just in this nation, but in this world, irrespective of what our separate beliefs are, irrespective of what our thought process are, irrespective of what skills we possess or do not possess. We have a right. We were brought here on this land not by each other or by each other's strength. There's a being and a power that is greater than all of us. So I'm just appealing, and thanks for the opportunity, Ms. Duncan, to all of us, and especially those of us that profess to be. Our examples of how we live with each other is what is going to, in a large extent, determine whether other people will be influenced to join us and to fellowship with us. If you're expecting me to come to your family and to be nice to them, but you are treating each other like animals, and even animals, we must treat them right. I mean, we in the family had a lovely dog. You must have heard me speak about Spike before. It was my daughter's puppy, which grew into a huge fella, nice black dog. And a couple of weeks now, he has not been very well. The vet came in, we called the vet, and I think it was last Thursday or last Friday, thereabout, to see him, and pronounced that he thinks from his diagnosis that it is something to do with his heart. Gave him 2 injections and gave us quite a bit of tablets, which every day, 3 times a day before his meals, at least 10 minutes before we were supposed to give him. So he wasn't eating well, got very weak, wasn't doing well at all. After the injections and so on, and he started looking better, but I noticed 2 days ago that he was going downhill again. And yesterday I remarked to the wife that I may go before him, but the way he looked, I looked at him, he refused to eat yesterday at all. He doesn't look very, very like he has a long way to go. But still very determined, despite his weakness, despite he not eating. Going into the garden yesterday morning, he attempted to follow me. I drove him back. I said, go lie down, you're not well. And I went down to the garden, and within 15 minutes while I was down there, he still came down and spent all the time there with me. Took him about an hour to come back up because he had to be resting. On my way down this morning, the wife called me and told me that he passed. And that's sad. And I'm not saying this story for anyone to tell me accept my sympathy for the death of my dog. But I'm saying that even animals must be treated with respect and pride and dignity. As humans, we have to accept and appreciate that each one is dignified in their own way. And Ms. Duncan, you and I sometimes do not agree on a lot of things. Yes? I respect your opinions at all times, like I do with a lot of other people. I don't necessarily have to agree with it. Exactly. And I'm saying that we don't have to agree with everything about each other. Yeah. But we need to respect the fact that we are all independent thinkers.
Yes.
And yes, we must be forceful in trying to have our way if we believe and are convinced that our way is better than the other person's way. But even when we are incapable of convincing the other individual that our way is best, that does not give us the right, and that is not a rationale to develop hate for an individual. Yeah. And to go as far as to encourage the powers that be to get rid of that person from the position that they hold. Yeah. That is not right. That is not good. And we must all look into ourselves and ask ourselves the question, have we yet reconciled first and foremost with ourselves and our actions, then our family, our close home family, and our NNP family, and then the rest of the country? Yeah. Let's reconcile. This is one of the things that our Prime Minister and leader had asked us to do. Let's do it. Let's lead by example. Let's try to make this country a better place for all of us to live in. All of us, all Grenadians, NNP or non-NNP. Yeah. We must live. We must try to survive with comfort, even though we are not in unison with the thought process of everyone. I think that's what I wanted to say and get off my chest this morning. Thank you.
I mean, there's no better way to start the program, Mr. Bowler. But I have to tell you, when you walked in this morning and I asked you what was wrong, you tell me nothing. But I knew there was something wrong because I could see the look on your face.
No, nothing is wrong with me. My inner being was just a little bit troubled. But nothing is wrong. When you asked me what was wrong with me, and you said you don't look very happy, I told you I was. I'm grateful for life. I believe I'm healthy. I don't know. I haven't seen the doctor in a while. But every day that I wake, I thank God and I say thank you for allowing me to see another of your creation.
I mean, I know you're happy, but maybe the news of Spike really reflected on your face.
maybe
it reflected on your face.
Maybe it reflected on my face. Yes, I don't know.
There's no better way to start the program. And Mr. Bowler, you are absolutely right. And I spoke about this yesterday, about us all as leaders in society, knowing our responsibility and accepting our responsibility to making Grenada a better place. You know, and we spoke about leaders not just being persons in political positions or persons that are held at a high esteem, but if you have an influence, if you have a voice, if people listen to you, you are considered a leader, and therefore you have a responsibility. Because they say with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah. To whom much is given, much
is required. You know, and you have to understand and accept that you have a responsibility. Sometimes you would hear, as media personnel and so on, you would hear them saying certain things. And that's why I always appeal to say, in my opinion, because you have people who listen to you and you need to let them know that these things are not gospel, but they are your opinion. They are your personal feelings about certain things. And someone called yesterday in relation to, by the way, you were very missed yesterday. Somebody requested that you call and contribute to the conversation because...
Well, I'm sorry. I was otherwise engaged. I didn't even get a chance to listen to the program yesterday. I'm sorry, but you know, sometimes that happens. Based on what you're engaged in, it just doesn't give you the time.
Absolutely. And there was a certain media individual who made it their duty yesterday to appeal to people on radio to not pay the ticket or not pay the fine for wearing their mask, you know? And he was not the only one. Of course, there were reciprocal actions because they felt like they had the support of the National Democratic Congress in not wearing their masks and not...
Did they say that they were supported by the National...
Well... It's something that is implied when you have a representative, the former senator that was sitting on that said program, and the host was saying this, and he didn't even make a mention to correct him. In fact, he further supported him not by saying I support you, but by his verbiage. You know, he made it seem as though he was in support of what this individual was saying. And I think it is time. It is high time, Mr. Bowler, that we put politics aside honestly as adults, as individuals, as members of a Grenadian society, and stand up and say, listen, this is not about yellow. This is not about green. This is not about who you support. This is not about what you gain politically at the end for this. This is about saving the lives of our people. Because guess what? If you tell your base not to wear masks and all of them catch COVID and pass away, ain't no base no more. You know?
Well, that's one way of looking at it. But sadly for us, and only last night I saw a clipping from the PRO of the National Democratic Congress. So funny you should bring that up because I saw that clipping from the PRO, who is Mr. Kennedy Roberts of the National Democratic Congress, and also the spokesperson for that party on health. And in that clipping, he was, again on GBN, saying publicly that the National Democratic Congress is very concerned about the health and well-being of the nation, you know, about issues of health and the Ministry of Health and the handling to a certain extent. And I'm paraphrasing now. I'm not going verbatim word for word based on how he said it. Of the issues of COVID-19, and made mention of the most recent case that was found in Grenada, and the fact that the person absconded from quarantine, and the level of fear that is being created now in the minds and the hearts of people, and was calling for review and assurances that all of the protocols at the entry points and everything should be looked at, and that is important for the National Democratic Congress, to reference those things and to call for further strengthening of our protocols, or at least supervision, if not strengthening, but at least ensuring that what is being printed is practiced. And it then dawned on me instantly, but these people can be so...
hypocritical?
That's one word you can use, but can be very confusing. So I gleaned immediately that either they are so disjointed and are not in sync and do not synchronize their thoughts one with another, or they're just very hypocritical, as you said. Because not too long ago, the leader of that same party, now that was a clip from the PRO, but not too long ago, the political leader of that party, in that of Ms. Bernardine, made statements to the effect when they were doing the protests, as they call it, outside the Houses of Parliament as it relates to the COVID-19 bill.
Yeah.
That why was it necessary to have legislation, and why was it necessary to be going through all of those things when, in her mind and in the minds probably of her party, that there was at the time no cases present in Grenada,
right.
and gave an impression that all of what was being done then for the protection of lives and to ensure that people do not go out of bounds, as for the want of a better word, to break and disobey the protocols. They were trying to put the legislation in place that will govern that, and they were totally against it. And the point was made: there's no need. Why all of that? And today, the people from the same organization, from the executive level of the organization, is saying, well, we are concerned. We are concerned about the health and well-being of our people. So it leaves you kind of baffled and puzzled and wonders whether they're thinking along a straight line, or if they're so disjointed and that they don't synchronize the thoughts and the sayings, and they don't meet as a mind. And I mean, again, you are so concerned. What have you done? I have not heard, and we have said it on this program, and callers had called in and asked, and people have made comments during our program saying, why can't, as a main opposition party, can they make a call, as you say, to the base, to the constituents, and say, hey, this is not about your like or dislike for a particular party or individual or political leader or prime minister. It is about we together as a nation wanting to deal with the issue of COVID, and how can we keep it at bay?
Yes.
How can we together as a people ensure that no more of our people contract one, but more importantly, even if they contract, can get so ill to move on to the great beyond. We have seen worldwide over 1 million folks already lost their life as a result of COVID, directly or indirectly. When have we? Can we find a statement? Can we find a time when any one of them came out in support and said, look, so far, based on how the government has handled the resources they have placed, the training they have given to our frontline workers, the way they have deployed things, how the police has acted, the nurses, the doctors, the health system in general, we give commendation. Although we feel X, Y, or Z could be improved, could be better. I can't remember seeing or hearing a story like that. But now, because there's another case, and it is the hot topic, and you want to be seen in the public, you come out talking about your concern. But your concern only comes on, it's like a switch. You put it on when you feel it is the best time to get media and a PR stint, and you switch it off when you think the subject is not so hot. So, I mean, let's be honest with ourselves as leaders. So while we call for leaders to lead and to do the correct thing, we have to be honest. We need to call a spade, and by no means am I saying that you must give credence and say something is good or the government has done well if they have not. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we must be honest with ourselves to say it is good when it is good and it is bad when it is bad, or parts of that is good and these parts are bad.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm making.
And you're absolutely right, Mr. Bola. And we have called here over and over again for leaders in society, not just political leaders, but also in general leaders, whether you have a following, you have a crowd, you have an influence, to speak to your base and tell them what you know is right, you know? Because at the end of the day, this is not just for the safety of a few. This is for the safety of all of us. We all stand to benefit when we follow the protocols in the way that they should be followed, you know? So when I heard it, I cringed, because in my mind I'm saying, well, how can you sit on such a platform and speak to the people of Grenada in a time like this, inviting them to be disorderly, inviting them to break the law?
Said that they should not pay.
Yes, they should not pay.
Then what should they do?
I don't know.
But that is law. And I mean, I think there have been sufficient time elapsed between when the regulations was amended to include that and the fact now that the police officers are stepping up, you know,
to enforce.
On their vigilance to enforce.
You know,
I mean, it's not like last night something was put in place and you're asking now. Before you continue on your train of thought, most people know. Most people are terrified. They are worried. And that's part of what the PRO for the NDC was saying. They're concerned about the fact that people are troubled as a result of the last found case, and the fact that the person has skipped and has been able to evade the security and the security system that was set up and was out there in the public. That has caused I spoke to a gentleman 2 evenings ago who said that a young daughter of his was present or was part of a crowd that was in some festive activity where the gentleman in question from the Tivoli area, well, I understand he's actually from Hermitage area, but was leaving on his return in the Tivoli area, you know. The news probably have said he's from there, and most times in Grenada, wherever you live, they say that's where you're from. But he's originally from Hermitage, my understanding is. So he said his daughter was in the vicinity with him. And she was so scared, so frightened when the news broke that she got up on her own and went to one of the community nurses that live in the neighboring village, that lives in La Poterie. She went directly to the nurse and said, hey, I was in an activity, in a festive session where this gentleman was. What is it I must do? Am I going to get a test? And she was advised what to do. And so I failed to ask him. It's only after I thought about whether she was one of the persons that was quarantined or was placed under special supervision. But it's an indication, and that's just one individual. There were several other people. I've gotten calls. People are worried. What should I do? What if I catch it? So. And you get that air of concern. Yeah. But prior to that, these same people, when you appeal to them, well, why aren't you? Hey, why you whining out mass? You done nothing. And we keep saying, we don't know where, we don't know when, we don't know who, we don't know how. So let us not drop our guard.
Remember that statement we made the other day about the condom? this is the exact situation.
The exact situation.
The
You know that came to
exact
mind?
situation.
Yeah.
That you don't wear a condom after having sex. So after you done do your thing, you're worried about if you're going to catch something when you know you're supposed to do it. You make the precautions before. And this is the same exact situation. Now you have people who are afraid because people going on pack up in bus on bus trip, people going in but having secret birthday party with 40 and 50 people, nobody even having a mask, and all sorts of things that they are not supposed to be engaged in. And now everyone is afraid because they're wondering, Lord, I wonder if that is where he was. I wonder if I was in this place with him. I wonder if I catch the virus because I didn't wear my mask and I didn't see the need to wear it. You know, didn't know where to for me to wash my hand, and I was drinking alcohol. I'm gonna be rubbing my eyes. All of these thoughts and feelings are now coursing through people's veins because they do not know. That level of uncertainty is frightening. But we can have a peace of mind and have a calm if we would just do what we are asked to do. But everybody is so up in arms about their rights and their freedoms. Where are your rights and freedoms now that you are so afraid? Are you not still concerned about those?
Well, they should talk to COVID about it. I had rights and freedom to be walking without a mask, and it's troubling in my mind. I didn't hear the statement, I didn't hear the program, and I'm wondering, why would a radio personality, why would a host openly say to people, don't pay the fine? No, I am not happy that people are being charged, but at sometimes, if you do not step on the pedal, people don't respect rules. And we spoke about respecting rules and regulations. We spoke about the fact that they are set, about the mental slavery that we allow ourselves to go through. That we believe in still the massa philosophy that unless the whips fall on our backs, we are not going to act. You know, that we are not mature and brave enough as independent thinkers, men and women, to see what is good for us and to just follow, because it's going to save our lives, most importantly. But of course, it's going to give us an ease and a peace of mind to go about our day-to-day activities without having to worry too much, you know, about our safety, our health, and our security. Why do we always have to wait until draconian and drastic measures have to be taken for us to get into action?
You know, this morning my son left home before me, and I was so, I don't want to say afraid. My mind was unsettled because he left the house and I couldn't remember if he took his mask or not. You know, and in my mind, I'm there and I'm saying, and my daughter is saying to me, she said, well, Mommy, why are you worried about? He has a mask in his bag. And then I remembered, and she reminded me, actually, that I told them, listen, you put an extra mask in your bag in case you forget one home. And that was the peace of mind that I got. Because, you see, to me, wearing my mask and my children wearing their mask is more than just following the rules and regulations. It's about protecting their lives in the eventuality that somebody somewhere is reckless or irresponsible, you know. And that is how we need to start thinking. It's not about controlling you and telling you what to do and how to do it and when to do it and where to do it. It's you making a personal decision that you are going to safeguard your life and the lives of the people that you are in contact with. And that is just all that it is. That is just all that it is. Being considerate about the lives of other people other than yourself. Because guess what? When you are reckless, when that gentleman was reckless and he went to that party, you think he cared about who was in the bus and if he had COVID and if he didn't have COVID and who was in the party and all of that? He didn't care about that. All he cared about at that moment was himself.
And having a good
time. You know? And then look at that. Almost 75 people are now either have high blood pressure, suffering with anxiety, or are just generally afraid.
Well, how you came up with that number?
Well, minister says about 75. By Friday will be about 75 people under quarantine.
That's who they contact trace.
Contact tracing.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking about those direct people. I'm not speaking about the outsurge of people who, you know, are affected or who are wondering, well, did I come into contact with any of these 75 people that are now in quarantine? Even the individual that was on the program, she said that one of her co-workers was in a session with him as well. And has to be under quarantine.
Careful, a session with him or a session where he was present.
Where he was present.
Yeah.
You see me and you this morning.
No, not just this morning. I want to be absolutely clear because we aim to give proper information. And I'm not coming down on you like a ton of bricks. I'm just saying that sometimes how we say it, and maybe I make the mistakes at the time too. People can connote the wrong things from it. So say she was in a party with him.
I want to read this comment here. It says our civil leaders, opposition parties, trade unions, sports groups, and churches voices were not loud and supportive enough to the COVID-19 pandemic committee. Sometimes you wonder if they were not quietly and silently encouraging people openly to flaunt commitment to the protocol. Others were laughingly encouraging jab, have the cure. However, we should not panic, simply adhere to the protocols established. Very well said.
Very, very, very well said.
Someone said here again, I made a comment about something, about that some time ago, that we have to have a slave master over us to do the right. Very sad, and yet we think slavery is gone. We may not have the whips and chains, but the mentality, the mental slavery is still very
our minds are still very much chained, still very much chained because we just can't. I mean, it's maybe like I said at the beginning of the program when I got that few minutes to talk about some things that worry me. We all have different thought processes.
Yes.
And for varying reasons, where we came from, how we were grown, we are accustomed, we are characterized to do things in a certain way. And change is the only thing we know that is constant. It happens every moment. Every moment of our lives, changes are happening. Whether we recognize or doesn't recognize, whether we appreciate or don't appreciate, changes are happening. Time is moving. The world around us is changing. It's taking different shapes. People are doing different things, and so we have to adhere and adapt to it. And I recall very early. When we were in the discussions about COVID and what have you, and things just unfold and come to pass. I remember mentioning and asking you, because I did listen to a piece from the upper house when the Senate met and was discussing some issues as it relates to COVID. And we had our young senator, that legal mind from I think she's from St. John's.
Katisha Williams.
Yes, who spoke to the fact, and she made mention and reference to the Spanish flu in the early 1900s, and we dwell a bit and spoke a lot about the fact that sometimes those who survive whatever it is, a pandemic, a disaster of any kind, whatever it is, the flu, whatever have you. It's not necessarily and always those who feel that they are strong, or those who can run fast, or those who command a certain respect and power. But it is oftentimes the people who are quick to learn and are prepared to adapt, to the new situation. Yeah? And it was yesterday afternoon I was sitting there and I said, but look how businesses have changed. So many things have changed. Meetings are being done virtually now. Yep. So whereas before you had to travel hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles from one part of the world to another part so that there can be a meeting, there can be a conference, there can be some discussion of national or international interest. Today you can sit in the comfort of your own bedroom, your sitting room, your study, wherever you want of comfort in your home or in your office, and be part of a similar discussion, a similar discourse. What they say, you do it virtually. So it is technology. But I say, look at the transformation. We move from the Stone Age to the Iron Age. Today we are into science and technology, right? That are affording us the opportunity. Transformation. People willing to adapt as time goes by. And I mean, no longer people rely on stones to use as the means of tools to sledge things and to get and to work things. The work of art that you see now, there are modern tools that are being powered by electric energy or other kind of energy that is faster, that is safer, that that is easier on the body. And then the thought of businesses, how they are evolving and changing, and may change or be changed forever. And the thought of Wagiti came to mind, of how he adapted so quickly and recognized that, hey, COVID-19 now has pushed me to the point where I have to think differently about the business that I was doing, which generally, while he does a number of other things, was doing his monthly bingos, were giving an opportunity to people to come and play, gathered at the park, at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium, and win money, and had thousands and thousands of people. So he moved to an online way of doing it that people still support, because he has started and continued. If there was not support, and if it was not business, maybe not the quantum that he used to have at the stadium, I don't know, I've never spoken to him, but he continues, right? But he was prepared as a business person to adapt, to change, because of the changing times, because of what is demanded now. He had to move to the time. Why can't we as individuals, even some of those who have moved from going and stand in the stadium with your ticket in your hand and shout out bingo, you are now playing online? Why can't we recognize that had become possible or necessary because of the present situation and environment that we are in? So it is now necessary, because of the environment, because of the situation, because of COVID-19 and its effect, for us all to be wearing a mask when we are out in the public. In fact, the regulations say once you are leaving the premises of your home, your place of domicile, the place where you reside, you're not ordinarily resident, you're going out into the public, you're going into a business place, you're going into a public transport, you must wear a mask. Right. That is what they're asking for. So why are we now, or some of us, advocating that, if the police charge you, you should not pay? Well, then what they're telling you, well, don't pay, go to jail, probably. Because I guess there are implications if you don't pay. I presume so. There are. And maybe you can tell us, Ms. Duncan, because I see you have pulled up the regulations there.
Yes, because
some of the things that
very
might
early
be
this
said.
morning, somebody sent me a document, and they were asking what this meant. And I want to take some time, not too much time, because I want to open the lines as well. So I'll try to do it in the next 10 or so minutes. It probably wouldn't even take that long. But I want to take some time to just highlight the main points of this document, and it's actually fixed penalty offenses, right, under the public health COVID-19 regulation. And the first one speaks to not wearing of a mask in public, and that's regulation 4 subsection 1, and I want to read to you what it says. It says, no person shall without reasonable excuse be in a public space without wearing a face mask, face shield, or face covering in a manner which covers their nose, mouth, and chin. It also goes on to say where the person is under this regulation is a child accompanied by an individual who has responsibility for that child, the individual shall provide and ensure that the child has and wears a mask, face shield, or face covering as required by the regulation. It also goes further to say the owner and operator of any business establishment or office which provides goods and services to the public shall ensure that a member of the public is not permitted entry to or otherwise remains within any enclosed space within the premises of the business or establishment or office unless the member of the public is wearing a mask. face shield or face covering in a manner that covers the mouth, nose, and chin. Now remember, these subsection or subregulations shall not apply to children under the age of 5, employees and agents of the person responsible for the business establishment or office within the area designated to them, and not for the public access or within or behind a physical barrier as we are right now, subject to such guidelines made by the Ministry of Health. Now, I want to make this clear because there are lots of people out there who feel like, well, I ain't have to wear my mask, you know, ain't no COVID. And that's what has been preached for the past couple months. So I could understand why some people feel authoritative on the matter, that they should not wear a mask because there is no COVID. Now remember, we're not wearing a mask in the presence of COVID. We're wearing a mask in the event that we come in contact with. So there is no COVID. So we feel like, okay, well, let's do what we want to do. But how are we to know that tomorrow or the day after the Ministry of Health doesn't say, okay, well, guys, XYZ has happened, and then you're trying to check back, Lord, last week Wednesday where I went by, I was on that bus in a bad. I don't think I had on my mask, you know. Save yourself these kinds of troubles, please. It also goes on to say, for the purpose of subregulation 1, the circumstance in which a person has a reasonable excuse includes those where a person who cannot wear a face mask or face shield or face covering. So these are the sub-regulations. These are the circumstances in which you cannot or you are permitted to not wear a mask. Any medical, physical, or mental illness or impairment or disability which inhibits their ability to wear a face mask, face shield, or face covering, or without severe distress, right? A person is traveling with or providing assistance to another person. In such other person relies on lip reading to communicate. So if you are traveling with someone who requires you to speak to them and they are unable to hear you, so they need to read your lips in order to do that, then you are permitted. It also says the person removes his or her face mask or face shield or face covering to avoid harm or injury or the risk of harm or injury to himself or others. There are so many. There are so many, and I want to read them all, but I don't want to take up too much time. So what I'm going to do in the process is I'm going to open the lines. So those of you who want to contribute to the conversation can call at 440-7377 if you are calling locally. If you're calling from the diaspora, it's 347-329-3101. And I want to continue reading what those exemptions are. It says if it is reasonably necessary for the person to eat or drink, the person removes his or her face mask. To do so, the person has to remove his or her face mask or covering to take medication. So to eat, to take medication, if you are walking with someone who needs to read your lips, if you have a medical, physical, or a debilitating circumstance that requires you to remove your mask. The request is made of a person to remove his or her mask, face shield, or face covering temporarily for security. So, you know, when you go into the bank, they ask you to pull your mask down, look at the camera, all of that. That is also included. The circumstances provided for the guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health. So these are all, and you can find
you
all
didn't
of
put as an exemption if you meet a little friend that you...
No, that's not an exemption. Unless the friend needs to read your lips.
No, but yeah, read lips, but what if they want to give you a kiss?
No, they're going to have to save that for later.
They kiss with the mask then?
Yeah. But we shouldn't be kissing anyway.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We
because
shouldn't be
that's
kissing
a way of
anyway.
transmitting if you have.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Thanks for reminding
Exactly.
me.
So all of these are the exemptions in which you are permitted to not wear your mask. Other than that, please wear your mask. Then there is a section also that
Then-
speaks to no, not
Oh,
as yet.
I thought so.
Yeah. That
That was
speaks
single.
to operating of motor vehicles, omnibuses, hiring of cars and taxis, traveling in a motor vehicle, operating a premises, holding an event or gathering, hosting a wedding, a funeral, a gathering more than 20 people, educational institutions, business operations. All of these things can be found on the government website, gov.gd. Go in there, read them, know what is available, what the law says. So you ain't get yourself tied up in hearsay and he say and she say and they say. Because guess what's going to happen? At the end of the day, when they tell you not to wear your mask and you feel empowered to not wear your mask and the police pulls you over for not wearing your mask and charges you, it is your word in front of the judge. You would have to explain to the judge why you felt so empowered to not wear your mask, and you can. So it is important for us to follow the rules and regulations, and I don't think we can stress that enough, that it is so important for us to wear our mask. Come on, how hard can that be? How hard a ask is that? Because you are trying now to weigh whether I feel like wearing my mask or I feel like living or dying today. I mean, that is a hard thing to weigh,
Well, for you, some people probably it's quite easy to make that determination. So,
Sorry, I'm just checking my lines. I find like my phone giving me a little trouble day today.
okay. I have a friend, we were in conversation yesterday morning, and he said to me, boy, I almost got charged yesterday in Grenville. I said, but charged for what? He said, for my mask. I said, but weren't you aware that you're supposed to be wearing your mask? He said, yes. He said, I had it. And I had it on, right? I rode the bus to Grenville and I had it on. And, he said, just after a while in Grenville, he was standing somewhere and he removed it and put it in his pocket. And within moments, he said the police came up to him. He don't know where the police officer was. But he said, luckily, he could have taken it out and showed the officer, and he pleaded. And the officer said, well, you need once you're in the public domain, you need to keep it on.
Yeah.
Not have it on you, but, well, in your pocket, but on your face.
But on your face.
So put it on.
And for those of you who feel like it's the duty of the policeman to warn you, it's really not, eh? I mean, if they ask you and you can give a good reasoning as to why and they feel obligated to add some leniency to your situation, then fine. But it is not their duty to give you a warning. It is your duty to wear your mask.
You better hope that morning when they got the orders, in it came discretion.
Yeah.
With the orders, because when they ask one, well, officer, use your discretion. He said, well, they gave me orders this morning, no
They didn't give
discretion.
you discretion.
So let's
Very
hope
true.
that they all have discretion. So some people, if you are being caught, you didn't have it on, you had it with you had it in your hand, you had it hanging on one ear, because I see that happening with some people, and you're reasoned enough. It is up to the officer, and some of them may want to tell you, well, I'm going to give you a pass this time, but make sure you continue to wear if I should find you another time. And it's different officers. That is not the rule. It doesn't mean that they have to, but some of them may be lenient enough and using the discretion may afford you that chance. But they don't have to warn you first and charge you after. The law is there, and the rule is for the enforcement of such
Absolutely.
a
So
law.
we are calling on all of the leaders in society. It's now is that time when you lend your voice. Now is that we don't have to wait until something happens before everybody decides that they're going to speak out and they're going to say something. We have to keep doing it continuously, reminding our memberships, reminding the people that listen to us, wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands. We have to keep reminding them. Sometimes we fight up about the wrong things because guess what? And I'm not afraid to say, Mr. Bolo, when the COVID bill came out, that is the first time I hear the National Democratic Congress so vocal about COVID, talking about people's rights and freedoms are being infringed upon, and that they're trying to control a society, and what was it? Oh, we don't have any COVID, so what's the use? You heard all of that. Now that we do have a case of COVID, where are your voices to encourage people to follow the protocols? The said protocols that you said didn't make sense at that time. Where are your voices now? Telling people, you're out there saying how you're so afraid because you feel like what the government, the plans that the government have in place is not sufficient.
It's inadequate.
And it's inadequate. You hear you now in negativity. But where are you? Or where were you when the people need some positivity? That is the sad part.
Very sad. Very, very sad because, we split the issue of COVID down political lines. We decide we'll give support or not give support to any national issue based on who is in office.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not appropriate to say it at the program, but it's a song I heard yesterday and I never knew it existed. Maybe it was there long, maybe it's a new song, but very craftily done. I heard it on, I think yesterday afternoon, it was 97.5. I heard this song on, but it has to do, it's a song that has to do with two political leaders, both Dr. Mitchell and the former Prime Minister, Mr. Thomas, Tillman Thomas. And well, I don't know if the singer is also the writer, but whoever wrote the song, it's very crafty in the way they did it, and it started by saying, and I'm paraphrasing now, that he was on his way, he was walking one day, and on the sidewalk heard this argument, and it was this group where some people was arguing that when it comes to leadership and running of the country, that, Kit is the best for it. Yeah, and there was another section of the crowd that was arguing, well, while that is true, when it comes to knowledge and knowing how to do things, Tillman is the man for it. And the argument went on. And he said, forgive me, but I could only sing what I hear. They eventually said, Tillman no better than Kit. That was the chorus of the song. Based on the argument.
I like that.
It's the first time I heard it, actually. So, like I said, I don't know if it's a new song or if it's a song that's been around for a while and
All right, guys, remember the lines are open. You can call us at 440-7377 if you want to call locally. If you are in the diaspora and you want to give us a call, the number to call is 347-329-3101. You can also send us a message on WhatsApp, or you can give us a call on WhatsApp we'll be happy to hear from you. Someone here is saying, good morning. Now the pundits are saying that the government imported the COVID-19 case. I don't know, Mr. Bola, if I have a tickle in my throat this morning.
Probably ate or drank something or put something down your throat that probably should not have gone there. I don't know.
I probably
maybe
ate something.
You'd have to see the doctor.
I've heard that as well. People are saying that they imported the case just so they could get people to do what they want. I don't know who in their right mind would say something like that or believe something like that.
You would be surprised that there are some people who would actually take these things up and believe that that's a possibility. You see that there's so many conspiracy theories that float around, and there are some smart enough people who can play games with the minds of others. Who would put things out there? Who would, someone was saying to me some time ago, but there are some people that are so convincing and so good and can use the spoken word so well that all your life you know that river runs from mountains down to sea. But they may be able to convince you that the river runs from the sea up to the mountain.
Hey, good morning.
Hi, good morning. We have a first call on the line. Hi,
Hi, morning.
Morning. Yeah, Mr. Bola, I want to ask a question to those who listen to Kem Jones. I want to ask to them, when they are sick, will they go to a carpenter to look after them? No, they will not go to a carpenter, they go to a doctor. Mm-hmm. And now you have the health personnel in telling the people to wear the mask. But you have a man on a program encouraging his supporters not to wear a mask. Not to wear a mask. You see, as responsible people and responsible parents, you have to protect your family. This is what you are there for, to protect your family, protect the people around you. And the advice given to you and to everyone through Great Carriacou people and through the world to wear a mask whenever they are leaving the home. Because wearing a mask will protect you. They say the mask is very safe and one of the most safest things to protect you and your family for catching the virus. So I want to say to the people who listen to Kem Jones, don't take heed what a person say. Because if you love family, you care about family, and you care about the village or the community where you live in, and you care about people, you will wear the mask to protect you, yourself, and your family. And Mr. Bola, one thing I want to say again, that I do believe that in everywhere there is a corona center, there should be a security there, with security with private security. Because one of the things that I understand in life, you see, like we had a slavery mentality. We see a man with a big stick on top of our head, we will humble ourselves, we will respect that man. But when you see someone there and he never be sick in hand, he just there without no weapon. We tell him we could just do what he want, and we can't do us nothing. I want to say to Grenada, let us change that mentality, and let us obey. Let us respect one another. Let us respect, because when you respect yourself and care about people, you will save life. You will save life. So I want to say to everyone that don't listen to what Kem Jones said. If Kem Jones is a man of responsibility, a man of care, we have to encourage people to do what is right. And when people don't care about you, right? And what the friend Mr. Bola, they will tell some people, don't wear mask. But you know they're waiting for themselves? They're waiting for themselves to protect themselves, to protect their home, the family. But then they will still advise people not to wear a mask. Jesus Christ. That's a lot of mercy. I'm going to prepare these people.
Of course.
God,
fret not thyself. That's what the Bible says. Fret not thyself. Let's pray.
So, Bola, can you all have a wonderful God bless you.
Thank you, caller.
Well, thank you so much.
Have a wonderful day yourself. Enjoy the rest of today. I mean, fret not thyself. The Bible says we cannot continue to allow people to determine what happens to us and how we act. They say those of us who allow people and their sayings or their doings to get us into a state of well, not madness, but get us to a state where we get upset, would be easily controlled by those.
We have I think we have a call on the line. Hello, good morning.
We want Bola.
Yeah.
Want Bola. Good morning.
Mr. Man, I almost thought you were going to say we want COVID, you know. I said, what?
No, we want no COVID, man.
How are you, brother?
I'm not so bad than you.
Well, I am good myself, thank you.
Well, I looking at say, well, they tie Carriacou with a rope and drag it somewhere up St. Vincent up there. Because all we are looking in
You ain't seen me?
in the bowler, man, and
No.
stuff.
Wait, I don't have the schedule. No, just this morning, the manager and myself was discussing. There's a series of meetings that will be coming up.
When?
And she was saying to me that for the Carriacou one, she thinks that's when they're going to book me in to go up a day or two before the meeting. And so I would have time to see all what I have to see and do all that I have to do because I have work in Carriacou to come and do. To be very
by
honest with
today,
you.
I'll know when you're coming.
Well, I don't have the schedule before me, but it's done. The schedule is done, and that's a settled thing. But I don't have it.
So when you got the schedule?
It's there. I just don't have it here in the studio, but I can get it and
So
we
just
could
keep
call you.
listening.
Right?
Keep listening away.
Well, even if we don't say it publicly, but Ms. Duncan would make sure that when the program is over, I'll get the schedule and she'll call you and tell you the date.
Okay. Well, I will listen and I must say.
Yes, certainly.
But you good otherwise.
I'm very good, thank God. Very, very well. Very well.
If 6 buds, sorry.
Take your time.
If 6 buds on a branch and 1 fly, how much wings on the branch?
6 birds on a branch.
6 buds on a branch and 1 fly.
Yes.
How much wings on the branch?
14.
14.
Yes.
14.
Yes.
Well, you have me covered like a blanket. Let's put our hands together.
I like that.
I like that.
Yeah, man, covered like a blanket.
Yeah. You have me this man. 14.
Yes, man. 6 birds and 1 fly.
Yeah, and 1
That's what you have to listen to.
But you see what else catch them though? Think the birds fly away.
They think the bird fly away.
Yeah, nobody but them fly away. It's a normal fly.
Yeah, 6 birds and 1 fly.
Yeah,
You can just catch it here now. Oh.
Yeah, well, congratulations. You're very smart man.
Thank you.
Yeah, better boy.
Well, it's good to hear you, though. It's good to hear you. Thanks. We lost him there now. I think your phone is giving a bit of problem, you know, Miss
So
Duncan.
for the people who were trying to call, I think I maybe partially have it resolved.
But what would cause that? Nobody interfere with the phone, or he just started getting trouble.
So, but how I gonna know that?
And maybe I wonder if you just come in the studio in the night.
I didn't sleep yet.
You the one that has the keys, you know.
My throat hurting me this morning. I didn't know what was going on with me today. I hope it's not a cold that gets in at all.
I hope not, you know.
Yes. So we in business. I could see my callers now. I'm
right,
calling.
and
Good
they call.
morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
We're good. How are you?
Not too bad. I'm just calling to find out some information, right? Concerning the wearing of the mask, right? I know previously with the old regulations, if you have private transportation and you wanted to, if persons are in the vehicle, everybody has to wear a mask. But if you're alone, then you didn't have to. Is that the same case at present? Because I don't want to be driving and get charged for not wearing a mask for being in my vehicle alone. So I'm just curious about that.
All right. Thanks for the question. You're gonna listen for the answer on air, or you're gonna wait?
I can wait. It's not a problem.
Okay, that is something that people have been querying for a while, and I failed to get much clarity on it exactly. So I don't want to speak and say.
I believe that part of the regulation remains the same.
Right.
Because I'm of the opinion, and that's my opinion now, my dear. It did not come from the legal people. If there was a change to that part of the regulation, I want to believe they would have said so.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I think those are and just thinking about the science of it. If the reason why they said if you were alone in your vehicle traveling, it was not absolutely necessary because it's you alone. You can't infect you.
Exactly.
But if you pick up someone or you have other passengers, it is expected that everyone wear the mask.
Yeah.
So I think that remains the same. But to be safe than sorry, just walk with your mask all where you're going. While you're driving, you probably don't have it on. But if you are being stopped by an officer, I believe that your English is fine enough to say to him, officer, based on what the regulation said before, I did not hear a change in it. I thought it was still okay for me to be driving alone without my mask, but it's right here. If it's now necessary that I wear it all the time, in the vehicle by myself or with others, then I can do so.
Okay.
Yes, but I think it remains the same.
Okay. I just wanted to confirm that because I know right now charges are flying like water.
And we can't afford it. Eh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, guys.
I walk with two. I always have one in the cubby hole and one in my pocket.
You have to. Right now, I can't forget that. That's like a part of your daily,
Definitely so.
Yeah.
Definitely so.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for your answers.
Well, thank you too for calling.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I know that question has been flying around. Although the police, when they had the press conference, he did mention that when you hear people saying, "Oh, I had on my mask and they still charge me," be very careful of these kinds of stories, because in most cases it's a situation where they are in a public space headed back to their vehicle, and then they don't have on their mask and they say, "No, well, I'm going in the vehicle now, I can put on my mask." It doesn't work like that. You are in a public space, wear your mask. We have a call on the line. Hello, good morning.
Oh, yes, good morning to you.
Hi, good morning.
You know your phone giving you some trouble, eh?
It was. I can imagine you've been calling all morning.
Yes, because I was on the line to you, and I heard a call came in.
Oh, well, that's
So I wondered how this call came in, and I was there.
Stronger than you, man. You bunks you out.
Yes. Well, I'm not. You see, I'm small.
Okay.
So I can't stand in the way of anybody.
I don't like you to say that you're small. You're just a man of a diminutive figure. But your mind is so big, it's so vast.
All right, that's still not me.
Not at all.
Good morning to you, sir. Good morning to your mom.
Yes.
Morning.
I'll tell you something. Now, listen to the conversation, I believe from the beginning. And I always say to you, I call it a doc, and I just like the angle. And let me tell you something. I have assessed you, and I continue to assess you. And listen to me. You could not have remained in front of politics. You're not going to leave politics based on your association, but you could not remain in front of politics because your brain is different. You see, you are tilting to people. And as long as you're dealing with people, it's either two things. You be indoctrinated or you get out. That's two things. And I'm saying to you, what you're saying is so right. We have to be bent on changing but developing people. It is not about party X and party Y. Never, ever. It is about people, people's well-being, people's development for survival. And so you right there. But I'll tell you something. You didn't do the damage. The damage was done a lot of years ago. And we are struggling now to put it together. Because I remember telling the Prime Minister, so I think you have to concentrate on dismantling the color and dismantling the party support structure. Because you're getting a lot of problem on the ground with your very supporters. It's creating a lot of problem for all of us. And I believe he listened. But let me tell you something. I have news for you now.
Yes.
I said from time to time that I engage in certain activities, private, personal activities. I think I have created another large-scale farm.
Yes.
Using my road. I think he damaged some boundary poles and so forth. I wanted to jail him, but when I talked to him, he was so humble. I said, okay, I forgive you. And I gave him some advice to move on. He put about almost half-mile of road from my road.
Okay.
And he's going to be setting up his structure there. And I think he wants to live in the area. And I'm so happy about it. He's a very young man. He's a teacher and a very young man. And in this very area, a road that I did prior, I was informed that a large buildings are going up there now. And I'm so happy about this. And many, many more buildings will be going up in the area. And that is exactly what I'm trying to do. That's what you're saying there. Lend yourself to people's development for all of our survival.
Definitely.
I said I should bring that to you because those are the things that I am working for throughout my parish and throughout Grenada. We have to transform. And we don't have much time,
No.
We don't have much time to transform because, you see, those who are there, like you and others, you all might not be on the scene forever giving advice and managing.
We won't, definitely
but
won't.
those who are coming, would they have the ability to do it, to continue? And that is my worry. So here, we have to move expeditiously to ensure that whatever the foundation need, we get it done. So when we're letting go, we let go of foundation that is reasonable sound for the young people.
Sound and solid.
And so the politics, it's not it for now. It is the economics.
Absolutely.
You see? Because if we don't get the economics right for young people going forward, I'll tell you, the socio going to really hit them hard. You see? And so I want to lend that to you, and I'm asking you for your support, because I still have to come back to you on a private area, not on the air, with what we discussed prior, which is the Malmong thing there.
Yes.
I might try and reach you after the program, because there are certain things
no
I want to relate to you as they start.
Absolutely no problem, my brother.
Thank you, sir, and have a great day.
Thank you. That's why I tell you, you're not a small man, you know. Diminutive figure, but a big man in thoughts all the time.
Absolutely. So those of you who are trying to call, I know my people have been trying. See, I'm sorry. I apologize now because I know you've been trying before and you haven't gotten through. Good morning.
Hello.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, sir?
Miss Duncan, Mr. Bowler.
Hey.
Well, there's nothing left for me to say.
Well, we say thank you at least for calling, making us know you're alive today.
I still want to add, I just want to support all that you all would have said. And I just want to, as usual, make an appeal to our people, to my people, to be responsible, to be sensible, to be sensitive, to be considerate, to be civilized. I mean, I don't know, and really and truly we should not accept the behavior that we see prevailing, the kind of, from some people. I mean, come on, that is totally unacceptable to me. To my mind, it's totally unacceptable. And then when we act that irresponsibly, we still turn around and we blame others,
Yeah.
And usually it's government, it's politicians, and somebody else. It's always not us. Come on, people, we have to change that mindset. We have to change that behavior. We need to change that kind of attitude.
Yeah.
Sadly to say, though, that some persons, some so-called leaders among us continue to mislead and misguide and misinform people. That is very unfortunate. I cannot see how people who are endeavoring to lead this country at some point or to lead groups, organizations, would be on a path of misleading, misinforming people. I just cannot understand it, And I did not hear the PRO of the main opposition party, the PRO. I did not hear. But I wouldn't be surprised if whatever she would have said, she said, because I found this woman to be a bit reckless, for want of a better word, a milder word. Reckless and excessive in her utterances. I've heard her many times over a period of time. I have been assessing her and say, come on, that woman is reckless. She's excessive. She goes to the extreme to criticize and condemn those maybe who I have to say she don't like, especially members of the government and of the ruling party, and so on. So we ought to be more responsible than that. Yesterday, I was listening to another program, To The Point, on GDN, and the Minister of Health, Honorable Minister Steele, was on the program, To The Point. And people call in and they make the contributions and so on and so forth. But I've heard that caller, Citizen Rolo, I've heard him in time past, criticizing and condemning Mr. Steele when he says quarantine. And yesterday he called and he telling me, the word is not quarantine, the word is quarantine. I tried getting into the program, but I did not get through. Because that word could be pronounced two ways. You could say quarantine, or you could say quarantine, right? And any good dictionary, I have about 4 dictionaries in front of me, right? And so on. And so you always criticize, but sometimes you could criticize and you could correct. But he does that in a sort of belittling way, trying to humiliate. And he did that many times before. I heard him, he did it with the Minister of Education some time ago, talking about a sentence structuring, and he did it with the Prime Minister. And there was another minister. But I'm saying, I have no problem with correcting each other. We are not perfect, we make mistakes and so on. And we are subject to correction, and we should be prepared to be corrected and so on. But when we go to the extent to trying to humiliate and belittle, I have a problem with that. And from time to time he comes on the air and he displays and he says all kind of things. But And maybe some people see him as a leader. Maybe some people see him as an example. I don't know. But I could tell you some time ago, I think it was sometime last year, I was coming from Spice Imaging on the Carriacou, and I was standing on the Carriacou there for a little while. And he was crossing the road, the same citizen Rolo, and he sent out his whistle and so on. So there's a gentleman, maybe he knows him or whatever, from the Carriacou area. So he said to him, when he sung the whistle, stop making this noise or something. And was to hear his response, you would be amazed, the kind of obscene language that came from his mouth. You know, he went on a tirade. You know, so sometimes we come on the radio and we pretend to be Mr. Perfect, in that kind of sanctimonious manner that, we're more moral than everybody, we're more on top of the line more than everybody else, and so on. And I have a problem with that, the kind of pretense in the society, and so on. But again, my final appeal is that we should not listen to these people, as the caller before me would have said. Caller before. How could you be listening to these people? I mean, come on, Grenadians, we should be more intelligent than that. Are you going to be guided? Are you going to listen and heed what these people are saying? So they're telling you if you have been charged or if you have been ticketed by the police, you should not pay. Well, you have a choice. You could maybe contest the offense or the charge in a court of law. But when legal minds are saying that to citizens, I mean, it leaves a lot to be to be desired. It leaves me wondering, is it that, that's the employment, that's the area. Is it that they are prepared to go and defend them in court?
They're looking for a work.
They're looking for a work. They're looking, and so on. Are they prepared to defend them in court? But what are you teaching our people? What is the encouragement? That is what you are going to encourage people to do instead of trying to encourage them to adhere to the protocol, because it is in our interest, it is in all of us' interest, and like the gentleman who would have escaped, left the quarantine without being given the green light to do so while his result was pending. I mean, I cannot find words to describe that kind of behavior. I mean, irresponsible, being grossly irresponsible, reckless, inconsiderate, disrespectful and the like. I just cannot find what to express myself.
You've found quite a few.
But we need to do better than that. And my last thing is that a lot of us that like to put our monies, as Mr. Bola said in time past, in the bank and the credit union and other financial institutions, and not where our mouths are. Tomorrow, please God, is World Food Day, right? The Ministry of Agriculture and Land, they organized the World Food Day celebration. It would be taking place at the National Stadium. I wish that the people who talk a lot would go out tomorrow, please God, and we would support the farmers. I thank you.
Thank you so very much, as per usual.
Mr. Bola, one thing I want to say to tell the caller, I don't agree with him. It's not going to benefit us if we don't wear the mask, but it can benefit them, because they feel that if we don't wear our masks and if we don't follow the protocols, they have won in some way. They have shown that the government is incapable of leading the people. That's their goal.
We have made the point here before that you look back at the history of Grenada, politically and otherwise, and a lot before this era, a lot of people who have been in political struggles and so have always used the masses. The school children came to mind, always to be the front runners and the leaders in doing things that are not always prudently thought out, so that they can create a sense or a scene of unrest so that they can thrive.
Yeah.
And we have asked the question, when they encourage you to do certain things, who benefits from it?
Absolutely.
Would it be you? Would it be them? Would it be the country? So ask yourself those questions before you take actions. And about 2 or 3 callers said that you should not be listening to them and the other program. I don't advocate that you don't listen. What we always encourage people, even when you listen to HARDTALK, verify what you have heard. Fact check what you have heard. Do your independent research. Ask a question. Speak to other sensible people and get their version and their view on what you've heard. Don't take it, as we would say in the local terms, hook, line, and sinker. Verify.
Absolutely.
Let me just read this little quote is something that I've been saying in different ways. And here's what it says. When someone tries to trigger you by insulting you or by doing or saying something that irritates you, take a deep breath. Take a moment to think and switch off your ego. Remember that if you are easily offended, you are and will be easily manipulated.
Absolutely. We have a call on the line, and that's a very powerful statement. Good morning.
Good morning, Miss Duncan. Good morning, Mr. Bola. How are you guys doing?
We're very well this morning.
Okay, two things. I want to ask a question first, though. How much does one consider the life to be worth? Because I'm hearing that, I'm hearing people saying $350 is too much to charge if people not wearing their mask. But I am going to say that you're not paying $350 for not wearing your mask, You're paying $350 for endangering other people's lives. And I would like to believe that my life is worth more than $350.
I agree.
Interesting way to put
Now,
it.
the next thing is they're talking about security. Come on, people. You know what is that telling you? That if they don't put a security around you, you're not going to do the right thing? I mean, we have spoken about that before. You talk about that this morning. But, people are not thinking about the seriousness of the meaning of that,
Yeah.
That just look at that, if they don't put a security there for you. So you're telling people when they come in from abroad, you come in, but they have to have a security for you. Because they don't think that you're going to do the right thing, and people are not thinking about that. The next thing is people who say they cannot wear masks. Maybe some of them, it's difficult for them to breathe, but a face shield, and with the face shield you can breathe easier. Consider the mask or consider a ventilator. Which one would you prefer? Mr. Bola, Ms. Duncan, enjoy your day.
Thank you, caller. You enjoy your day too.
What
very
a way
well.
to put it.
Of course.
What a way.
very
Because the
good.
regulations does speak to a mask, a shield, or a face covering. So for those of you who are incapable of wearing your masks,
There are choices.
you have choices.
Yep.
And you can't say, I may consider getting a face shield as well, because sometimes a mask makes it a little difficult for me to breathe, but I have an option,
Yeah.
And I want to appeal to us once again, guys. It is important, as a caller said, consider what is the most important, and also consider what you prefer: wearing a mask or being on a ventilator. I mean, that is a big thing to think about. And she's right. My life.
Well,
is
maybe
worth-
some people have never been on a ventilator, or
So
probably
they
they don't even understand what being on a ventilator is like. So maybe we need to get somebody from health, maybe one of the medical persons to explain, to probably make some bold pronouncement on it. Because, I mean, I've seen photos and I've heard people give testimonies from outside of Grenada who have gone through this COVID, who were seriously affected, who had issues with breathing and so on, had to be on the ventilator. And they tell you about the experience. You don't ever want to be there yourself, And just to mention, as you mentioned, that some people speak about having additional security and so. If that's what we need, it really defines in its clearest terms our inability as a people to think for ourselves and understand what decisions we must make as to what is best for us. I mean, if we have to be forced by bringing armed security, someone earlier on said that maybe there should be an armed security personnel with a private security. I mean, if we have to do that, but even in those cases, which is another way of looking at it, we have seen for ourselves and heard of maximum security prisons. Maximum, meaning that they have the highest form of security, both in personnel and in technology. And people are still escaped.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's just about us making that conscious decision. What is it we're going to do?
We have a call on the line.
And that should be our final call, I believe. Ms. Duncan, is it?
No, we can take two more after that. Hi, good morning.
Okay.
Good morning. Explain why the ventilator for my place, because for me, I don't know why the ventilator. Thank you.
All right.
It's actually a machine that helps you to breathe because you are unable to breathe on your own. I remember, that was so many years ago, even before the birth of my daughter. I'm allergic to penicillin, and I went to the hospital, unknowing, of course. And I had what you call an anaphylactic shock. That's what you the reaction you have to penicillin. I remember having or being told that they had to intubate me, as when they put the tube down your throat to help you, and that's really not a very good it's not a very good thing, eh? So I'm appealing to people. You ain't want to have people put in a tube. You don't even want to have to rely on something else to breathe for you. You want to be able to breathe for yourself.
It's like an automatic lung. It's like a machine
outside your body.
Outside of your body.
Yeah.
That the oxygen, general oxygen that should go through your system, that the lung should work on, has to go through that machine to get into you, because you are incapable of doing the functions of your lung are either significantly reduced or probably collapsed.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that COVID can do to you, the virus, when seriously affecting you. When you have it, a real serious case of it, it can collapse your whole breathing system, your respiratory system.
Yep.
And so they have to rely on that machine now to allow you to breathe for survival, and at the same time work on your respiratory system to get it back up and working again.
Yeah. And for those of you who think, okay, well, my immune system is so strong, so I'm not going to be badly affected by COVID-19, guess what? It has shown that there are long-term effects from getting COVID-19. So you may not see the effects of it now, but guess what? You're getting older, you need a little bit more assistance in some areas, and that is when, ask people who have had chikungunya how they feel now. Ask them how they
and
feel
Zika.
now. And Zika, yeah.
And dengue, which we have now to a certain extent,
people
to
are
leave.
still feeling the long-term
they leave
effects of
lasting
that.
and long-term effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a call on the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
This is a live program on right now.
Yes.
Hi, hard talk.
Hard talk?
Yes.
Hi. You need to listen to us on the
Hello?
phone and not on the radio.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. You need to listen to us on the phone and not on the radio.
Yeah. Yeah, I have three main concerns.
All right, caller, can you lower the
volume of your radio?
Lower the volume of your radio, and listen to us on the phone and not on the radio, please.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have three main concerns. First, about the mask. Wearing the mask, I'm in full support on it. But if you look at the wardens on the street, the police officers, they're wearing the mask below the nose. And the correct way is you have to cover your mouth, your nose, and so on. And if you, for example, go inside the police station in Grenada, which I observed, I went inside of it. They charge a lady with a lady for not wearing the mask. When she go inside of it, she see all of the majority of the others, the mask under the chin. So she turned and tell them, will charge the others to, if they could charge her. They said that they'll give her a warning. These people and them should be upholding the law, and they break it and they want to charge. So I would like the commissioner of police or whosoever in charge of them to look into them on that matter. Also, the other night I was listening to a program about the commissioner of police was talking about Jesus pedestrian crossing. And if you look at the pedestrians in Grenada, 95% of the pedestrians, you can't even see the paint on the ground. Mm-hmm. Also, I will I ran into an issue this morning with a traffic warden. Some people was crossing the road. By right, she's supposed to come out in the road and put up her hand. She was like on the side of the road, stopping me and telling the people pass. I almost didn't see her. So I'd like you to let the commissioner of police tell them the proper way to stop a vehicle so that the driver will be clearly see them and stop in time so that the people will cross. Thank you for your patience and enjoy the rest of the day.
Right, thank you too. Enjoy the rest of your day. We appreciate your concerns, and they are serious concerns. The one thing I want to say though about the first one, the fact that other people or those in authority are not doing it is not an excuse for you not to do it.
Yeah.
You are correct that we all have to lead by example. If the police and whoever else are the one responsible for upholding and ensuring that we adhere to the law and the regulations, they too should do it. They should lead by example. And I must say that since the media briefing and the police mentioning the fact that they're going to step up the vigilance in terms of ensuring that masks must be wear. I'm seeing a lot more people as I travel, adhering to it. Another indication that until we recognize that there are whips on our backs, we don't oftentimes follow. Mm-hmm. So I agree with the caller, and I believe that the appeal must be made, and those in authority, those who are placed in the supervisory position, must always encourage the officers, since people are looking at you, and people will definitely speak out against it if you are the ones responsible for ensuring that they do it properly, and if they don't, they can be charged, and you're not doing it properly, that is going to create some conflict. So the appeal is that officers at all times, once you're in the public domain, once you are in the public confine, that you should wear your mask. And so I also agree with the caller that there needs to be, and I think the traffic department, along with the Ministry for Infrastructural Development, I think they work in unison as it relates to painting of those pedestrian crossings. And so periodically they do it. But I think sometimes they wait too long. Before they repaint them. It's something that don't last that long because vehicles run across them all the time, and so paints peel out and what have you. The heat from the sun when it goes onto the surface, and so maybe there needs to be more regular maintenance of it.
But also, I've seen some groups and clubs in civil society like the Lions Club and so on.
Oh yeah, sometimes they adopt. Some people adopt because I know as the representative in our constituency, for example, like the schools, Bella School, Tivoli School, where you had crossings close to them and you had speed bumps are another one that I used to supply the paint, and there was a young man from the community that would take a little change, he's a good painter, sometimes he's not working, and he will paint them, consistently and keep them bright.
We can appeal for some of that
right,
as well.
Some little groups, some clubs can adopt some of those crossings that are close to you within your village, within your community, and as a community drive. Do it because it's for all of us. It's for the safety and protection of our children, for our crossing. But it's maintenance that needs to be looked at and need to be done more regularly so that it doesn't fade that much before they go back and get it done. But I think the responsibility rests squarely on the shoulders of the traffic department, and I believe the Ministry of Infrastructure Development working in unison one with another. Absolutely. And the third thing that he mentioned, I've seen it happen. Even this morning, I think, having dropped off my daughter at the convent in Grenville, there's a crossing a little outside there on the main, and there was a traffic warden, but she was standing on the side of the road. The fact that I know that there's a crossing and on approaching it, I saw a bus from the opposite direction that was stopped. I knew I had to stop because generally it's there so that because the bus is coming from the opposite direction to where the school is. So they would drop just in front of the crossing and the children go across that crossing to take the side of the road to head towards the school. But the warden was standing on the side, yes, with her hand up, and not necessarily, as the caller mentioned, in the middle or getting out into the road. Maybe again, some of them are less scared for their lives because sometimes some of us drive with a pace and with in a manner that appears to be reckless and frightening. But I think the proper way is to get out into the road because she was in full uniform, and we have to respect them and respect the law. And I do hope that as those of us who utilizes the road, not just as pedestrians, but as vehicle owners and drivers, that will respect them when they do that. But the proper way is to stand in the open in the middle where we can see you and put your hand up so we know. And do it early. Don't wait until the vehicle reach right in front of you, which doesn't give sufficient time sometimes for that driver to see your presence and to take the appropriate action. So, caller, we accept, and I agree with you, and they were calls that are well-meaning, and I hope for those who are hearing us, they will take the necessary actions. Now, as we wind down with time, I believe, Ms. Duncan, it was a good program today. I don't know that we wanted, when I said what I had to say, was not meant for you to follow and tagline on that, but, it dovetailed well. It was just something on my mind that I wanted to say, which wasn't planned, and I ask you. So they say something great minds think alike. I hope that your mind is as great as mine. Yeah?
I will so too.
I just wanted to say, as a closing comment, to leave another thought with us. It says here, no matter how long you have traveled in the wrong direction or along the wrong path, you can always stop and turn around. Just never give up and learn not to quit. Remember that life without struggle is life without success.
Wonderful.
No matter how long you have traveled down the wrong direction, you can always turn around. Stop and turn around. Just never give up and learn how not to quit. Remember that life without struggle is a life without success. I want to leave this thought with all our listeners today, and hope that you would have a terrific Thursday afternoon. And God's blessing, we can meet again at the same spot tomorrow from 10 for another program of HARDTALK.
Absolutely. We've come to the end of our program, guys. And as we say here every day, in whatever you do and whatever you say, be safe and be secure. We always want to be talking with you, but we don't ever want to be talking about you. Please enjoy the remainder of your day and stay tuned for the National Report. It's been a pleasure.
Sources like healthcare.